tiny little things you need to do to instill pain, you need to instill that resilience inside of them. I was in jail and I could just hear crying and sobbing from every cell but mine. Everyone's in there having a mental breakdown but me.
There's a fine line between pleasure and pain. I mean, you put your hand close to a fire on a cold night, pleasure. Put it a little bit closer and there'll be pain. If you lay out in the sun for a little while, absolute pleasure. A little bit longer, sunburn, pain. And drink a fine alcoholic beverage of choice after a win or an accomplishment, absolute pleasure. I think you know where I'm going with this. I listened to a 5-hour interview with Andrew Tate, so you didn't have to. By the mere mention of his name and photo, some of you have just been triggered and have already made your mind up on what you think about him. And some will say he's an inspiration to men, he makes a lot of sense, and he speaks the truth, while others will say that he is a misogynist, a human trafficker, and a disgrace to men. But then again, pick any person, and I'm sure that we could make the same subjective assumptions. Go on, give me a name. In today's episode, I want to talk about the fine line between confidence and arrogance. I do believe in the saying, it's not what you say, but how you say it. But first, let's check out that fine line. Now, I think confidence and arrogance are both related to a person's perception of their abilities, but there are distinct differences. Confidence is a positive trait that comes from self-assurance and belief in your own skills or knowledge. I think it's encased in humility and a willingness to learn from others, and confident people acknowledge their strengths and weaknesses without diminishing the value of others. On the other hand, arrogance refers to an exaggerated sense of superiority or self-importance. Arrogant people tend to belittle others by disregarding their opinions, and they generally demonstrate a lack of humility. They may overestimate their abilities and dismiss feedback, which gets in the way of their personal and professional growth. So while confidence reflects a positive self-assurance, arrogance involves an inflated ego and a disregard for others' perspectives. Check this out.
I'd be in jail. I could have never seen this coming, but the fact that I was nice, paid their taxi home, bought them food, looked after them, are you okay? I know we broke up, I'm sorry, I know it hurts, I just did it. I was nice about all of it. Here I am, I'm fine. So I could have never seen this Matrix attack coming. It's amazing how what goes around comes around. It's truly amazing. If you're good to people, if you're generous to people, if you're helpful to people, you'd be amazed how much influence you can build up.
All right, you've just heard and seen a clip from Andrew Tate. And for those of you who haven't heard of him, you get to do the old first impressions. And so at face value, what do you think? For those of you who have been exposed to his rhetoric and mantra, he has either grown on you or you despise him even more. Let me give you an example. What if I was to say, why don't you like me? Well, that may be because is that you don't know me. And because you don't know me, you don't talk to me. And because you don't talk to me, you don't understand me. And so, of course, the cycle goes. And that could be the reason why you don't like me. Or maybe you know me, you won't talk to me, and you understand me, hence the reason you don't like me. So again, as we said, the cycle begins. So I want to go with arrogance in this instance. Do you think Andrew Tate is arrogant? The question I have, can an arrogant person be influential? Well, simple answer, yes. I think an arrogant person can, of course, have influence, and Andrew Tate is a great example of that. He's got over 5 million followers as compared to what I have, which is 14. But the very nature and extent of that influence can vary. People like Andrew Tate might possess certain qualities or accomplishments that attract attention and command respect in specific situations, such as he had a great kickboxing career and his appearance on Big Brother. However, his influence is often limited and tends to be short-lived. But since his arrest and incarceration in a Romanian prison, he's gained even more followers. So what does that say? I mean, as mere mortals, we know arrogance can alienate others and create a negative perception, which makes it difficult to build stronger and lasting relationships. People generally prefer to be around individuals who are confident yet humble, as they are more approachable, open to collaboration, and willingness to consider diverse perspectives. While I think arrogance may initially get attention or dominance in certain settings, it can ultimately hinder personal growth, teamwork, and long term influence. And building influence should be based on mutual respect, empathy, and having a genuine collaborative spirit. We've just unpacked arrogant people. Now, on the other hand, let's have a look at confident people. They can have more influence than an arrogant one because confidence is often mixed with a range of positive qualities that attract and inspire others because they tend to be more approachable and open to engaging with others. They create an environment where people feel comfortable expressing their ideas and opinions. I seem to think that confident people also value and respect others' perspectives. They also like to actively listen and consider different viewpoints. They recognize that everyone has something valuable to contribute and they treat others with empathy and understanding. So I want you now to listen how Andrew Tate describes his knowledge and understanding of a counselor.
Outcomes. So I don't believe in it. And she said, well, no, it's not an exact science, but we have generalized rules that we can follow that lead to patterns of behavior. I said, but I'm not a generalized person. I'm an exceptional person. So everything you've learned and everyone you've ever spoken to and everything in your books does not apply to me because I am exceptional and I'm smarter than you and I've done things you could never do and I'm a world champion athlete and I'm richer than you'll ever be. So nothing you know can possibly apply to my mindset. So why are we sitting here talking?
What was the reaction?
She just wrote things down on a piece of paper. Probably called me an arrogant piece of shit. Probably said don't like this guy.
Complete narcissist,
Yeah, 100%,
egomaniac,
100%.
who knows what's going on
But
here.
I'm right.
Yeah.
There's nothing you've learned in your
You are
book that
exceptional.
applies to people. It doesn't apply to me. It doesn't apply to me. So I don't want to hear it. Don't care. Don't care.
Now, you can argue that Tate is a highly skilled communicator and he may even articulate his thoughts and ideas clearly. But does he inspire others with his vision and motivate them to take action? I don't know. Maybe he does.
You have to find the triggers in people. There's another thing people don't understand about me and my message. Sometimes I sit here and I say things that piss people off because that's how you trigger people to make action. I have often written emails or done videos, especially to men when I want to help men, to piss them off. You're a loser. You're a dumbass. Andrew, why you mean? Because you're not going to go to the gym unless I tell you you're a fucking loser. And you are a loser, and I'm not lying to you. You are a loser. The emotional trigger you need to get up off that chair is the fact that you're not important, nobody cares who you are, any girl you're ever in love with I could take, and you're insignificant. And when you die, nobody's interested. That's your fault. You could have been something else. You did that. You failed. It has to be done. You have to be a master communicator. And sometimes that involves also insulting people.
But a confident person's style is generally persuasive and influential. And finally, I think confidence coupled with humility sets a positive example for others. And when people observe someone who is confident yet humble, they are more likely to be inspired by their behavior, work ethics, and positive attitude.
Bob Saget, I love you.
I love you, Joe.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
It was a lot of fun.
This was great.
This was great, man.
Thank you very much.
Thank
I really
you so
enjoyed
much.
this, man. I really
Yeah,
enjoyed
me-
it.
and
Tell
vice versa.
people I always appreciate you, man. Really do.
Thanks, and I really appreciate you too.
I guess if I think about my 3 most valuable life lessons, the first one would be, everything in our life comes down to our mindset. And I really believe that when you master your mindset and you master your self-talk, that anything is possible.
So in conclusion, trying to assess whether Andrew Tate is confident or arrogant is subjective and can vary depending on your own perspectives. Ultimately, determining whether someone is confident or arrogant requires a more nuanced understanding of their behavior, interactions, and the context in which they express themselves. It's important to form your own opinions based on a comprehensive evaluation of their actions, words, and the impact they have on others. So in closing, does Andrew Tate display arrogance or confidence? I think Andrew Tate has influence. Love to know what your thoughts? Leave your comments below.
That's the difference. I project my ideas and I make them agree with my ideas to a point where they're like texting me afterwards. I'm not saying anything different. It's how I'm communicating it. You can catch more flies with honey than hurting people sometimes. So you need to be good at everything. You need to have a Swiss Army knife of tools. I know when to be intimidating or aggressive. I know when to come across as obtuse. I know when to come across as exceptionally open-minded and easy to understand. I know when to come across as understanding. I know all these things. This all has to be practiced. And a lot of it is, communication. I would say, if you're going to say to a 20-year-old who's truly exceptional and driven, I'd say you need to become a master communicator. Because once you can do that, you can do anything.